Mix 1 tablespoon of BioShock's atmosphere, another tablespoon of Wolfenstein's vibe, a pinch of Half-Life 2's setting, and just a sprinkle of Crysis. And what you get is TimeShift. You guys recommended TimeShift a million times, and I swear I wanted to give it a try for ages now. But honestly, every time I pulled up the Steam page and looked at the screenshots, I was like, I'm not sure. This game has a few red flags. It looks way too dark, has a low FOV that will make me sick, and it's also one of the early PlayStation 3 titles, which is not exactly convincing. Oh, and it's also $20. Yeah, that's a little spicy for a 16-year-old game, don't you think? But hey, I trust you guys, so I sacrificed some of my YouTube wealth and made the investment. And I formally admit I was wrong about TimeShift. Well, mostly wrong, but let's start from the beginning. The game was developed by Saber Interactive, which honestly gave me some hope. You know, that's the studio behind Wheel Rock and Inversion. Two great shooters that I really like, especially Wheel Rock. I need to make a video on that soon. I bought TimeShift, started the download, and I was ready to finally give it a chance. I launched it, and it crashed. And again. Oh great. Here we go. Turns out, this game doesn't support CPUs with more than 4 cores. Yeah, welcome to 2009, people. But thankfully, after some research, I found a patched exe file which got it running. Awesome! So now, let's see TimeShift. The game starts with a vague intro, and when I say vague, I mean it. There is some sort of lab, an explosion, 2 futuristic suits, and wait, what is the bald guy from Hitman doing here? It seems like we made a time jump using one of the suits and ended up in an alternate timeline. And apparently in this timeline, the bald guy, aka Dr. Crone, is some sort of evil dictator. We immediately get a flashback from the other timeline, and I realized this is how the game will tell most of the story. These flashbacks are extremely cryptic, but if you pay attention, you can piece some of the bits together. Anyway, it seems like we dropped straight into a rebellion against Crone. The rebels rescue us, give us a gun, and send us straight to the battlefield. Okay, thanks, I guess. Can I get a coffee first or something? Ooh, this gun looks nice. Let's give it a try. Oh, okay. Right click is not aim down sights. Got it. Oh yeah, and the explosion sound is from Half-Life 1. God, I already love this game. After almost blowing up myself, I was ready to take on the battle with Crone. But then, TimeShift hit me with a really annoying thing. Darkness. This game is really dark. Like super, mega, my monitor's backlight just died dark. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna crank up the brightness in game. But that didn't help and also looked awful. Adjusted my monitor settings, nope. Doesn't work. In my final desperation, I tried turning up the brightness in my GPU controls, and yes, it worked. Thank God, so much better. Oh yeah, and I played the first half an hour with the default FOV. Don't do that. You can change it in the settings. After these minor hiccups, we end up killing a few dozen Crone soldiers and link up with a group of rebels. These guys are trying to hold back this giant spider-like robot, which I have to say looks freaking awesome. And this is where I came to the realization that TimeShift is set in a steampunk/retro-futuristic setting. And I just simply love that. It somehow gave me BioShock, Dishonored, and even some Wolfenstein vibes at the same time. During this epic fight, the suit malfunctions and we end up doing another time jump. But this time we land somewhere else. And this is where the real game begins. From this point on, we can use the suit's abilities, which are stop time, reverse time, and fast forward. The last one will essentially just slow everything down except for us. You know, like Sonic in the movies. God, I wish I never saw those. This sounds awesome, right? Well, it is, for the most part. Stopping time is cool, but it drains the power faster than a PS4 controller. Reversing time is mostly for puzzles and platforming, which means in combat I mostly used fast forward, but it's insanely fun, just look at this. In the first section of the game, we will basically fight through the whole city. This means construction sites, tunnels, parks, and even the subway, which looks really cool. Am I the only one having serious BioShock vibes here? During this first section, I also had to realize that you must utilize the suit. Otherwise, you have zero chance of survival. It's super easy to die, usually takes around like 5 or 6 shots, and the enemies can be real bullet sponges. But hear me out, this is good. Every time I entered a fight, I had to think about which abilities to use, which gun is best for the situation, and eventually found myself doing some pretty sick combos and playing the enemies like chess. Except when they played me. This is where I have to mention that the war-torn steampunk city in the background looks amazing. Anyway, we eventually end up in Krone's admin building, which is straight out of Wolfenstein, fight the way to the roof, pick up the sniper, my second favorite gun, and destroy some turrets. Again, the city and the rooftops look crazy good in the background. But yeah, we can only see them from a distance. Such a shame. We end up clearing the landing zone for the team's Zeppelin and fly away. Farewell, awesome looking city. Turns out, our suit automatically downloaded and decrypted a lot of intel on Krone, and the rebels now finally have a chance to take him down.
Damn, son.
Huh. Glad I could help, boys. Of course, the Krone bombers attack the Zeppelin, so we need to defend it. This is a little rail shooter section, but it's pretty short and we can keep using the suit, so this was a piece of cake. We get an intel on a group of rebels whose Zeppelin was shut down a few months ago. Everyone thought they got executed, but turns out they are still alive in a prison close by. So, time to find them. This means driving a quad through the mountains. Hell yeah, I'm up for that. Soon we end up at this door and we need to blow it up. Okay, that's fine, I got the C4, put it down, run away, and I'm dead? What? Okay, maybe I just need to run faster. And I'm dead again. Oh, of course, I need to fast forward. But come on, who the hell sets the C4 timer to 3 seconds? And if you had any doubts that this game took inspiration from Half-Life, then here, have some on a rail section. I like trains. And then I came across this thing, this beautiful godsend weapon, the crossbow. Trust me when I say this is the only weapon you need. It has a scope, fast reload, and shoots exploding arrows. What else do you need? Here is my TimeShift recipe that works every time. Fast forward, zoom in, shoot, and profit. Anyway, we end up finding the crashed Zeppelin, and I have a question. Who the hell builds a toilet here? Then we fight a few hundred soldiers in the trenches. This is where the crossbow really shines. I still had to retry quite a few times though. Did I mention that this game is really tough? I think I did. Okay. Hello. Next up is another puzzle that took me a while to figure out. But at this point, I think I'm just too stupid for this game. So here it is. Spin the wheel, lift goes up. Okay. I tried stopping time. No, that doesn't make any sense. I tried slowing time. Wait, that doesn't make sense either. Ah, of course. Reverse time. Awesome. And the game is full of these clever puzzles. I really like them. We trace the signal of the lost group, and turns out they are being held in a nearby mine. This is where I realized that stopping time also makes you Jesus. Explain this, atheist. We end up freeing the guys, and they are really happy about it. Okay. Our next mission is to break into Krone's factory, more quadding through the woods, crossing a minefield, and then linking up with another group next to the factory. After fighting literally everyone in the factory, we end up turning on the exhaust fan. This should be our way out of here, but the problem is, it's going in the wrong direction. And ladies and gentlemen, this is where I had a small mental breakdown. Okay, I figured I will just reverse time and go straight up. And that worked, but not entirely because I kept falling down for some reason. I checked some walkthroughs and it seemed like everyone else is doing the same thing. Okay, I figured this might be an FPS issue, so I limited it to 60, but no, same problem. And every time I fell, I had to watch this stupid cutscene of me dying. Thank you, TimeShift. Do you know what was the issue? No? Well, me neither. It seems like if I activate the reverse here, it just works. But only here, at this specific location. I don't know why. Anyway, we end up on the factory floor, where we need to fight a dozen of these super fast enemies. I think they have the same suit as we do. And yeah, before you ask, I died many times here. They are really tough. Then a pretty awesome platforming section that gave me some Half-Life PTSD. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will hate this. Turns out the factory has a huge weakness, the reactor core. So it's time to cause a little meltdown and blow up the place. Once the factory is up in flames, we leave in this goofy plane. Look at this thing. Oh, the story? I have no idea. We still keep getting these flashbacks, but honestly, I couldn't really piece it together yet. Okay, I'm gonna put a spoiler warning here. If you haven't played the game and want to, I would recommend skipping to this timestamp. We are back in the city, where Krone's forces are weakened and the resistance is taking over. The final battle is obviously against Krone and his huge spider thingy, and it's super epic. In the end, Krone goes down and falls out, and we just casually execute him. Killing him destroys the alternate timeline, so we just jump back to the lab before the explosion. But the suit detects a paradox and we make another time jump, God knows where. And that's it. Cliffhanger? Yes, cliffhanger. Sequel? No, no sequel. Great. Alright, you know the drill. What do I think? Even though my relationship with TimeShift started a little weathered, it kinda grew on me. The game has a lot of great ideas, but the problem is, most of these has some downsides too. First of all, I must admit the suit is really fun to play with. You can approach each combat situation 100 different ways, and it can be real badass sometimes. The mechanics work well. I didn't encounter any glitches or bugs. They look great and just genuinely a good time. But we only have 3 abilities. The reverse time is mostly used for platforming and puzzles a handful of times. The stop time can be useful in combat, but drains the power extremely fast. That means about 90% of the time I use the fast forward during combat. And even though this is really cool and can create some awesome combat scenarios, it does become a little boring after a while. The enemies are also mostly the same, which makes the fights even more tedious. I feel like if TimeShift was an hour or maybe 2 hours longer, then it would have been too long. Secondly, I love the setting. It takes inspiration from some of my favorite games, like Wolfenstein, BioShock, and even some Half-Life 2, so it's a great mix. The areas look fantastic, especially the city and the subway, and I also like the mines too. But the problem is, since TimeShift is completely linear, we can only explore a small part of these awesome locations. I feel like the setting is just completely underused. They came up with this amazing word, but we can only see like 5% of it. I wish we could have just roamed around the city a little bit, going into a few buildings. This feels like a missed opportunity. Maybe this was also a limitation because of the PlayStation 3, I'm not sure. And finally, the story. When I started the game and saw the intro with the lab, the time travel, the mysterious suit and all that, I was like, holy crap, this game is gonna be awesome. But most of the main storyline is in the intro and the outro. Other than that, we will only see these flashbacks. And the game itself tells a different story about the revolution against Krone, which, you know, is also interesting, but definitely not as much as the main storyline. However, this might be just my opinion, so let me know what you think. Anyway, despite all my whining, I still had a great time playing TimeShift. It's a really fun game for the few hours it lasts. I would still say it's worth beating TimeShift at least once. But don't expect a story-heavy shooter, the focus is mainly on the combat. TimeShift is not a classic, but it's definitely an underrated title that just faded into obscurity. I think Microsoft owns the IP now, so I don't think we will ever see this rebooted. But it would be nice to see how the game is implemented today, especially if they could expand the setting a little bit, add new locations, and maybe even continue the story somehow. Anyways, I would love to hear your thoughts as well, so do let me know. And if you would like to chat about games, mods, or anything else, join our Discord. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye!